And we are back to discuss more Mandalorian, and holy shit, I'm sorry, like right before we were talking, right before we started recording, like I was trying to keep my containment. Oh my god,
I knew like going through it, I was just, especially at the end, I thought, man, if last week was fan servicey, this week was took it to the next level of fan service.
Last week wasn't as fan servicey as this one. That ending though, when Ahsoka asks the magistrate or whatever her name is, like when Ahsoka asked, "Where is so and so?" I literally like
you had to go change your pants. I understand.
Several times. My God.
So I mean, maybe I don't know when we're going to get into spoilers because I obviously want to ask you about that. The ending, but I don't know. But yeah, go into the description of what happened really quickly.
So the Mandalorian and the child arrive at the city of Caladan on the planet Corvus to find the population living in fear of the city's magistrate,
a very very Chinese-esque city.
The architect, very, yes,
yeah.
It reminds me of a lot of like the old like kung fu movies. Especially like a lot of the scenes where like the main character will literally face off against the boss and the henchman in like almost like a Western type of way.
There's a city in southern China called Dali, which is in Yunnan province, and it kind of is most famous for having this certain type of roof, and it was used in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, but it's kind of the most Chinese-esque looking city, but because it's the go-to one, it's now kind of how everybody in the West imagines China, even though it's kind of just this one city. But so it kind of has this very stereotypical Chinese feel. Her inner sanctum temple, the roundness was very much like the Temple of Heaven in Beijing, but on a smaller scale. The rounded aspect to it was very striking. But it was beautiful set. Yeah,
beautiful set. I just hated the lighting. Obviously, the planet is supposed to be very industrialized because she's taken advantage of it.
Yeah, she ruined it. Yeah.
I just wish we could have seen like a bit more of how really nice this set would have looked.
Right. I mean, the set outside of the walls, it looked like the last page of the Lorax, after all the trees are cut down. Yeah. I don't know how those animals were still surviving, those huge dinosaurs on the planet.
Yeah, they eat branches, whatever. They eat trees, whatever. Yeah. But the city's population is living in fear of the city's magistrate, Morgan Elsbeth, and her guards, including a hired mercenary named Lang. Elsbeth offers to give the Mandalorian a spear of Beskar steel in exchange for killing Ahsoka Tano. The Mandalorian finds Ahsoka outside the town and presents the child to her. Using the Force, Ahsoka determines that the child's name is Grogu, and that he had been training as a Jedi before the rise of the Empire. She agrees to continue his training if the Mandalorian helps defeat Elsbeth.
And that particular point explains a lot, because everybody's like, oh, are the Yoda species just born with the ability to use the Force? And the answer is no. I mean, they're born with midichlorians, but there is some sort of training. And so this is the new thing to find out that actually baby Yoda, baby Grogu, was actually training. He was old enough to start training. And that's why he can use the Force.
Mm-hmm. They overpower the guards, free the citizens, and the Mandalorian kills Lang. Ahsoka confronts Elsbeth and demands to know the whereabouts of her master, Grand Admiral Thrawn. Afterwards, Ahsoka refuses to train Grogu due to his close attachment to the Mandalorian. Instead, she directs them to the ancient temple on the planet Typhon, I think I said that right, where Grogu can use the Force to decide his own fate. She also gives the spear to the Mandalorian. So that's the basic rundown.
I want to get out of the way a couple things that I didn't like about the episode real quick, so that we can get into what we.
Well, before you get into that, can I tell you what I didn't like first?
Okay.
Nothing. I love the whole thing. Go ahead.
All right, a couple of things. Isn't it a remarkable coincidence that Mandalorian arrives in the 1-day window that she has given the city to think about her offer? I mean, what was she doing imagine had he come just a day earlier, a day later? I mean, I don't know. It's just kind of odd that he arrives in that period of time.
Maybe he was guided there in time by the Force.
By destiny, by the Force. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's true that Star Wars, more than most stories, I involve the biggest coincidences ever. I mean, R2-D2 and C-3PO crash land and are bought by, just so happens coincidentally, Darth Vader's son. I mean, that's pretty. So Star Wars has enormous coincidences that are just ridiculous, considering that it's a huge galaxy. But yeah, he arrives in that little one-day window. Especially considering that Bo-Katan had said that this woman was going to be on this planet for a long time. Or to look for her there, what was she? How was she living on this planet before? How did Bo-Katan know she'd be on this planet?
I think maybe Bo-Katan and Ahsoka Tano have been keeping in touch with each other. Maybe they have somewhat of a friendship.
Do you think they text?
Yeah, maybe. Why not?
Yeah. Okay. All right. I guess. Yeah. I guess maybe.
So you didn't like the coincidence? Okay. What else?
No. Yeah. The other thing is there's a logical leap between taking care of the child and training the child. Okay? Mando is concerned with the child's well-being. And there is a logical leap to him, you need to train this kid. No. First of all, where did that come from? She just needs to you don't need to train him, but can you at least look after this guy? Is all he really wanted, but it jumps to you need to train him, which is weird, because why should Mando care if Grogu can lift rocks with his mind? He just wants the kid to have a good life, be protected, be safe,
pretty much
drink bone broth and stuff like that.
I do agree that's kind of weird. Ahsoka could have just given him the excuse that her mission is too dangerous to keep a Padawan around.
Sure, absolutely.
Especially one so young who can't freely jump around and stuff.
I'm the Empire is after me. The very people that are looking to take all of his blood out of his body and do strange research on him. I am the last person that should be taking care of him. But instead, they pull all the Empire Strikes Back Yoda stuff, nearly line for line, as her excuse. I mean, I guess it's not only Yoda, but it's also Qui-Gon. Yeah.
Well, you finally got what you wanted. You always complain that no one in the galaxy has ever seen Yoda or met Yoda, but we finally have a person who has met Yoda. Ahsoka has met Yoda several times in the Clone Wars television series, and she even references him. Not only that, but she also references Anakin, not by name, but as one of their best who turned to the dark side.
So she's never met Yaddle? She's never met the Jedi Council?
I don't know what happened to Yaddle. This episode has a lot of implications for the whole series, not just Mandalorian, but all of Star Wars as a whole. First and foremost, let's start with the one thing that made me literally go, oh, because Ahsoka appearing in this episode was kinda expected. Even before season 2 came out, we had rumors that Rosario Dawson was going to play Ahsoka. Ahsoka's going to come, blah, blah, blah. We even had rumors of an Ahsoka Tano series for Disney Plus before season 2 premiered. I expected it. Plus, I made the mistake of going on Twitter and it was trending and someone I followed shared a picture of Ahsoka, so that was spoiled. What wasn't spoiled was Grand Admiral Thrawn. I would argue in Star Wars, the top 3 biggest threats in order: Palpatine, number 1, Vader, number 2, Thrawn, number 3. Thrawn is not a Force user. You know who Thrawn is, right?
Yes. I mean, I've read the Zahn trilogy, or some people call the Thrawn trilogy.
Right. And for the people who haven't, he's not a Force user. He's not a Sith. He's just an alien guy who has blue skin and glowing red eyes. But what makes him so menacing and such a threat is that he's incredibly intelligent and very strategic. Very strategic.
Yeah, and it's funny because the Zahn Thrawn trilogy, people are kind of mixed about that trilogy. Some people really love it. Some people think it's kind of poorly written, with a lot of just ridiculous aspects to it, like creatures that can repel the Force, and a clone made of Luke Skywalker's severed hand, and all sorts of weird stuff. There's all sorts of weird stuff. But the thing that everyone can kind of agree on is that the character of Grand Admiral Thrawn is the best part of the book. He is the most interesting part of the book. That every other scene that involves someone from, the Star Wars universe is whatever, and then you're just waiting to get back to scenes with Thrawn, because he's intelligent and ruthless and kind of funny. And while everybody else in the Thrawn, in my opinion, Timothy Zahn is not the greatest writer, but I do think that he writes Thrawn as a great character. And so what came out of that is everybody's love of this one character, right? Like of Thrawn, You probably disagree and think that the Zahn trilogy is better than that. But...
honestly, it was okay. Like I feel like everybody has nostalgia goggles when they talk about it. I wouldn't say it's bad, but it was okay. The thing about Thrawn that I really like is that finally we have a threat in the Star Wars universe that doesn't need the Force to fuck you up.
Yeah, this is I think what I liked about Thrawn, because I liked Thrawn as well. And so my big problem with most of the Star Wars books is that certain characters have plot armor, so there's no stakes. Like, I know that Luke Skywalker isn't going to die. I know Han Solo isn't going to die. I know Chewbacca is not going to die until they did that one book where they killed Chewbacca. I know Leia's not going to die. I know R2 and C-3PO are not going to die. I know Lando's not going to die. And so anytime they're in a scene, what are the stakes? And so it's really hard to have a nemesis who I thought was worthy, who could take them out, who would be a threat to them, because they're so impervious because of plot armor. And Thrawn, approached that. You really thought, oh, this is an intelligent, great character who can possibly win. Though, obviously he's up against the gang and he's not going to win. But so I thought that one character was really well done, and I think that's what most people come out of it with. And has Thrawn appeared? I know he's appeared in some video games. Has he appeared in any other Star Trek lore?
Star Trek lore?
I mean, Star Wars lore. Yeah. Star Trek lore. Yes. Has he appeared in... has Jean-Luc Picard gone up against Star Wars lore?
I don't remember.
Like, did he appear in any of the cartoons?
So, Thrawn is originally from the Legends canon before Disney bought Star Wars. After Disney bought Star Wars, Thrawn actually makes a reappearance in the now new canon, in Star Wars Rebels, the Star Wars show for Disney, and it was very kiddie. And he's actually the final antagonist that the main characters in Star Wars Rebels take on, and he's somewhat defeated, kinda, maybe. So the last time we see Thrawn is like a couple of years before A New Hope, and he's trying to take out the Rebel Alliance station on Lothal. And the way the main character, Ezra Bridger, takes him out is he goes up to Thrawn's ship, and he summons space whales that can lightspeed, and the whales have tentacles, and the tentacles wrap around Thrawn's ship, and it takes both Ezra and Thrawn into somewhere nobody knows. That was like a couple years before A New Hope. The very last episode of that show time skips right after the Empire's defeat at Endor. Ahsoka and one of their friends, Sabine, another Mandalorian, is going to go on a journey to look for Ezra. That's why I was so excited, is that we finally might get a chance to find out what the fuck happened to Ezra, because that's what Ahsoka's main mission is after Return of the Jedi, to find out where Ezra is. Because where Ezra is, maybe Thrawn is there too.
So Thrawn was made into real canon.
Yes.
By the Rebels show.
Nothing was different from him. The only thing that I would say is a little different is that he had the TIE Defender program. I don't remember if he had that originally, but...
I remember playing a video game later. I mean, was the old TIE Fighter video game involved? Thrawn appears briefly in that, but this is way, way back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess those take place during the like the Empire Strikes Back period or something around there, in the middle of the rebellion. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happened. Where's Thrawn? How did he survive all of this kind of stuff from the events of Rebels?
Well,
that's interesting that there's a time skip past all of the events.
Well, you kind of have to explain where the hell Thrawn was. In the original Legends canon, I think the Emperor had Thrawn go off into unknown regions and explore. That's why he was gone for most of the original trilogy. In the new canon, the reason Thrawn is gone from the original trilogy is because he's lost somewhere in wherever the fuck the whales took him and Ezra. The fact that he's appeared, he's name dropped now, and that this woman, Morgan Elsbeth, is supposedly working for him. Ahsoka tells us that Morgan Elsbeth was a huge part of making, the Imperial Navy, or had a hand in it. And if she's an associate of Thrawn, that means she's probably doing the same thing for him. So he's out there somewhere gathering his forces.
Yeah.
Now this means that we have four. Now, 4 was 3. Now it's 4 potential Imperials running around. Groups of Imperials. You have Palpatine and Exegol with the Final Order. You have the First Order in unknown regions. You have the Warlords in the known galaxy, vying and running around like Gideon. And now you have Thrawn, if he's even still on the Imperial side. Because...
You don't think they're going to, have Thrawn and Gideon be working together?
No. Gideon is Mandalorian's main villain. I think Thrawn will be the villain for the Ahsoka series.
Oh, you think there's going to be... They're going to do the spin-off and Thrawn will be part of that.
Pretty much. I can almost guarantee it, because Thrawn cannot be like Mando's villain. He does not fuck around. He will destroy Mando. You got to have someone like Ahsoka take him on.
So regarding Thrawn is so in the canon, I know there's kind of or not in the canon, in the extended universe, there's kind of this idea that the Empire is human-centric. And that, because if you look at Return of the Jedi, right, they have a band of fish people and floppy face people, and they're all part of the rebellion, right? So the rebellion seems multi-species, multi-ethnic, while the Empire seems to be a bunch of, stuffy old British guys. Thrawn is always this exception to that, because Thrawn has blue skin and red eyes. He's clearly not a human species. And of course, there's actually tons of... I mean, in the original Star Wars, there's that Empire agent with the elephant nose who's following
Mosquito Man
around Luke. I mean, he's got the voice of a mosquito, but he's purple with a trunk. He has a cloak and he follows around. I guess maybe is it Mosquito Man? Is that his name?
I have no fucking idea, but there's a character named Yak Face, so fuck it, Mosquito Guy. Fuck it. He looks like a mosquito to me.
You know what? I mean, they might have named him that. Now that I'm thinking, they might think his elephant snout looks more like a mosquito snout. I don't know. Garandon. Anyway, he works for the Empire and he's an alien. But I do know that in the extended universe, they were toying around with this idea that the Empire is human centric and didn't really care about these other species. But Thrawn goes against this idea. Thrawn is saying that actually the Empire does have many species working for it, which makes a lot more sense, frankly.
Actually, I think the new canon still has that whole thing that the Empire is only human-centric, and Thrawn is the exception because of his amazing mind. I think they're still going with that. It's not confirmed, but I think that's... And by the way, to the audience, we've been talking about this one character for 8 minutes straight. He's that insanely important. He is literally one of the craziest characters in Star Wars ever. From top to bottom, in terms of threat, once again, it's Palpatine, Darth Vader, Thrawn.
And then the Knights of Ren.
Please. The other thing that I will say I liked about this episode is that we get to see Ahsoka. Now, we've only ever seen her as somewhat of a CGI cartoon character, but translated on screen, I thought Rosario Dawson was going to look very ridiculous. No, she looks great. Oh my god.
No, she looked really great. I felt that they made her, one of the choices that they made, which I think worked, was her makeup looked more like war paint than it did, say, the actual her actual skin tone, and I think it looked fine as like war paint. There was only a couple moments where her tentacles kind of like plopped around like they were made of styrofoam, but
they look like they're made of
styrofoam. For the most part, you know, she looked pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
They spent unduly a lot of time trying to make her look like a badass. You know, so many moments of her, like it being dark and her coming out of darkness with two blades and killing somebody. And then another, you know, badass scene, badass scene, badass scene. You know, they spent a lot of time trying to make her into a badass. I guess if they're really trying to do this spin-off series, I can understand that.
Mm-hmm. And I gotta say, it worked. Her being a badass completely, like, in the Clone Wars where we see her fight, I never liked Clone Wars lightsaber fighting because it almost seemed like anime-ish style levels of like fighting each other, like really fast. Is like very fast, fluid stuff and a lot of exaggeration. And they kind of brought that into live action, and it kind of works. Watching her like do all these flips and like the way she slashes at those guys, and like, you know, it's all flashy and there's a rhythm to it. It works for this character, and it looks super fucking cool. It looks so cool. Her garb looks really cool on her. The like, you know, just.
For a moment, I was wondering, like, would they kill off Ahsoka? Like, for a moment, when she was in that final fight, because I'm like, because they need to obviously have Mando continue on with baby Grogu, and so I was like, would they actually kill off Ahsoka right here? That would be a surprise. And I like thought about it for a second, but then I was like, nah.
You've been watching Game of Thrones too much. Who's writing this? Who's writing this? George R. R. Martin? Nah, you crazy?
Right, but wouldn't you? I mean, did you think about that?
No.
Like, had they? I mean, it would have been something, right? I'd have been like, "Whoa!" They killed her off. This now, didn't you say that? At one, like when they introduced this character way back in the day, fans didn't like her.
Everybody hated the shit out of her because she was a kid, and Anakin didn't need a fucking Padawan. He wasn't even a master. Like, only masters have Padawans. Everybody fucking hated the shit out of this character. Nobody liked her. She was very arrogant, very annoying. She called Anakin Annie, like it was really annoying and dumb. Or she, no, what did she call him? She called him, was that Annie? Who fucking cares? She was just, nobody liked her. Now she's like one of the most beloved characters ever. Everybody loves Ahsoka.
You know, George Lucas himself was talking about, like, they were talking about the backlash on Jar Jar. And he's like, this happens every movie. Like, he's like, during the first movie, there was backlash against R2-D2 and C-3PO. That, man, the movie would be so great if they didn't have this stupid, bumbling comic relief characters. And then they did the same thing about Yoda. Oh my gosh, this stupid Muppet in the middle of Star Wars. This doesn't fit, you know? And then they did it for the Ewoks. Of course, the Ewoks do suck. Everybody still hates them after 40 years. But and people are, I mean, I would say that the hatred for Jar Jar has certainly diminished, but he's still not liked, you know? So it's funny seeing the 180 on her, that now everybody loves her.
Mm-hmm. Everybody loves Ahsoka. It's everybody's favorite character, and she grows on you. Like, over time, she does have character growth. That's the one thing I will say Dave Filoni did very well with Clone Wars, is, you know, these characters grow. And she is actually not a Jedi. At one point in the Clone Wars, she's framed for this attack, and, you know, the Jedi Order, like, wants to bring her in and question her, and she's trying to prove her innocence the entire time. And eventually she does get her innocence proven. It was one of her friends, her Jedi friends, who was like this dark sider, you know, turned against the Jedi Order, and she kind of leaves the Order because she becomes disillusioned with it, which I understand. But she
is this why she survives Order
66?
What, 66?
Yes, this is exactly why she survives it, and why she just kind of is doing her own thing, like a gray Jedi, if you will. The other thing, so major things in this episode. Ahsoka finally appearing. We finally figure out what's been going on with her post Star Wars Rebels, post Endor. Thrawn is still a thing out there that needs to be dealt with. And we finally get more info on Baby Yoda. I hate the new name. I think they should have kept it ambiguous. I think they should have just kept it hidden until like the last episode of the entire show.
Yeah.
Grogu?
Grogu?
I'm alright.
I mean, it's interesting. He can't even talk, and yet he's got a name. Yeah, I guess my son can't talk and responds to his name, but you know, he's not being trained.
I find it fucking insane that this kid is like 50 and he still can't talk, but he was being trained, which makes sense. Like, you know, we saw younglings at the temple and Yoda was training them, but there's still a lot of questions that haven't been answered. So apparently the Baby Yoda, I'm calling it Baby Yoda, I'm not calling it fucking Grogu, that's a ridiculous name. Apparently Baby Yoda told Ahsoka through like the Force that all he can remember is training at the temple, and then he was taken from the temple by somebody, and then darkness. Somehow he had to have ended up at this like weird location that we find him in episode 1 of season 1, because remember he was in that little like area, that little like Hamlet mansion area, whatever the fuck that was.
Yeah.
So for some reason he's there, and for some reason he was taken by those weird alien mercenaries that Mando and IG-11 had to knock out. So
yeah, I'm sitting here trying to figure out his age and whether or not it makes sense. You know, like, okay, so do you think he's like the equivalent of being like 2? You know, in human years?
I think Yoda was like 700 or 800, so maybe 2, 3, maybe.
So I mean, if Yoda is dying of old age at 700, say you know that he lives 10 times longer than human beings, that would make, if he's about the equivalent of 2, let's say he's pushing it, let's say he's 3, then he could be alive 20, 30 years. I guess that means he was started his training because Mando is oh crap. No, because the Jedi Temple is just, I mean, the Anakin deals with the Jedi like and kills all the children like 20 years before the Battle of Yavin, right? So I guess we have to assume that he's like 5.
Something like
around
that.
Around 50 years old, 40, or at least 40. So he's got to be like 4. Yeah, he should totally be talking. Maybe he doesn't talk because he had some sort of trauma and abuse.
I mean,
he's not really a baby. He should be more like
a toddler.
Yeah, toddler. You know, young kid Yoda.
Oh, I'm sorry. What else did you not like about the episode?
Oh, that was the two things. I went through the. You know, I thought the coincidence was a bit much, and I thought that the logic jump from you need to train him came out of nowhere when it was like you need to care for this kid, not train him.
By the way, real quick, for any Clone Wars fans wondering where the hell Ahsoka's owl was, if you go back and watch the episode, it should be around the 15-minute mark, 25-second mark. So this was another main mission for the Mandalorian. He went and found the Jedi, tried to reunite the Jedi, the baby, with his people. Not quite his people, and Ahsoka wouldn't take him. I agree with you. I thought the leaps and bounds with the whole, like, you know, train and take care of the kid were a little eh. If I was them, I would have written it to where she has a dangerous mission and she can't take the baby with her. Plus, it has an attachment to Mando, so he should stay with it. Now, all Mando has to do is go to the planet Tython, where in the original Legends Star Wars thing, Tython is where a bunch of scientists and philosophers and, you know, politicians and whoever else, all the important people in the galaxy, gathered to discover the Force. So it was on the planet Tython where it all began. And that's where Mando has to go, and fuck, man. Like, he's going so far into Star Wars lore.
Right. I mean, this whole season has just been about Star Wars lore, right? Like, you know, I mean, the fact that, like, we're dealing with Boba Fett and Thrawn and Ahsoka and Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan and Yoda's species, the guild.
yeah, like all of this in this, like, by comparison, first season, nothing happened. You know? Man, this whole thing. Sometime I'll tell you the story of when I lived in Egypt. A woman in my running club had a baby dropped on her doorstep, just like in a cartoon, just like in a cartoon. And I think about those feelings that she must have been feeling at the same time as Mando, like, and the kid, and because she also, like, tried to give up this child,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just so difficult that eventually she ended up adopting it. But it was very, very weird situation. But she I might as well tell it really quick.
Go ahead.
This woman in my running club, like, she finds this baby on her doorstep,
Mm-hmm.
just like, and she goes to the authorities in Egypt. I mean, this is where we're living in Cairo, and they're like, okay, you can give it to an orphanage, but you have to pay the orphanage all of the money that it would take to raise it up until the age of 18.
Oh, Jesus.
Right. And of course, this is Egypt. So, like, you're like, that money's going to go into somebody's pocket. Like, it's not even going to be used for her to go all the way up. So, I mean, for the age of 18. So that's just ridiculous. Right. So she doesn't know what to do. And she's like, okay, fine. You know what? Now, after a few weeks of bureaucracy, she gets to the point, she gets attached, and she's just like, you know what? I'm going to adopt this child. And they told her, so adoption isn't really a thing in the Middle East. You're not allowed to adopt under law. You can be somebody's benefactor, but they can't become officially part of your family. And so they're like, no, you can't really do that. And so she's like, oh God, like, I don't know what to do. And then finally they call, some dude calls her up, and they're like, okay, if you give us this amount of money, we'll allow you to leave the country immediately with the child, and you can never return.
Whoa, what?
And so she's like, okay. And so one day she didn't show up to running club, and we're just like, what? She went back to London. Like, that's all she could do. Yeah. They gave her all the documents. She gave them the money. They gave her the documents, and she went to London. That was it.
Do you still keep in touch with this person?
No, I mean, she was more of an acquaintance, but she was much older. She was actually in her 60s. It was like a running walking club. It was called the Hash House Harriers, but some people walk and some people run, and so she was one of the walkers, and it was just this crazy story. But I just think about like every time Mando, like, is trying to, like, go through all of this to find somebody to take care of the kid, and then realizes that, like, the world is not set up to actually take care of children well that don't have families, and that, like, the best you can do is to do it yourself.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is what Mando is facing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, so overall, what did you think of the episode? Because we did get a lot of answers, and I'm still wanting more awesomeness because...
Right. I mean, I wonder how much I'm blinded by it, because even though you're more of a fanboy than me, with the Rebels and clones and the extended universe, like, I do wonder about the episode on its own merits. Like, I thought the atmosphere was great. I thought the characters were okay. I don't know why that guy at the end decided to kill Mando when he was putting down his rifle.
That was dumb.
But and I don't know why, like, one random Chinese guy is elected mayor of the town.
I feel like this episode was longer than what they gave us.
Yeah. But I thought, just the fact that, like, so many answers came, you just feel like things are going someplace now.
You kind of overlook all the little things.
Yeah. So, I thought it was good.
So we get more information on Baby Yoda. We get an update on Ahsoka. We get the surprise with Grand Admiral Thrawn still being out there, which means Ezra might be out there. And yeah,
I still think the best episode of the season is the Timothy Oliphant episode, and
the first episode of season 2.
Yeah, I still think that's the best one.
Really?
Season. Just because it's got the most interesting characters, and there's a story in itself, and I think I like that one still the most so far. Yeah.
Maybe I'm just fanboying a little too much, but seeing a character like Ahsoka go from the cartoon to the live action. I mean, I was never a big Scooby-Doo fan, but I guess this is how some of the Scooby-Doo fans who are really hardcore fans must have felt seeing Shaggy, Velma, Daphne, and Scooby and Fred all on the big screen. I mean, pretty freaking cool.
I guess I don't know if anybody has ever felt that strongly about Scooby-Doo.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. And you know what? Mandalorian really feels like this is every fanboy's wet dream in a sense, because Mando is, I'm going to borrow your Jon Snow thing for a minute here. Mando is the bathroom sign where every fanboy can see themselves as the character. And the whole story with Baby Yoda and him being a bounty hunter allows the audience and fanboys alike to kind of visit all these cool places in the galaxy and meet all these interesting characters that you'd only ever meet in like video games or a book or something, you know? Like, hell, he even goes to integral places in the series like Tatooine, and now he's going to go to Tython, and he somewhat meets characters fans always wanted to see more of, like IG-88, kinda, you know, Boba Fett, kinda, Ahsoka, and he gets to fight the Krayt Dragon and all that stuff.
I mean, I can ask anyone, like, what's your favorite scene from Revenge of the Sith? And almost everybody has, like, the same answer, which is Order 66. Like, and you get to see all these different worlds, and then the Jedi's being killed on each of those different worlds. Like, all of those different worlds are, like, really fantastic, and they're just kind of throwing all of these creative new worlds at you, and so Mando is kind of that. We're going to a different, pretty cool exotic setting, you know, and you get to meet, you know, different weird kind of characters. I mean, if there were more weird aliens, I think, you know, it would be stronger, but there's still enough. There's enough weird aliens, but. Imagine had they done it reversed. Imagine had they started the story at season 2 and then introduced us to all the stuff that happened in season 1 through flashback. You know, I think it would have been like paced better, you know, like I would have felt like the plot was going somewhere. You would have died, you know, we would have gotten right into it, because it's amazing how fast now it's going. When season 1 was so slow plot-wise. You know?
I feel as though season 1 was more experiment than anything, and as soon as, like, you know, the people behind the scenes who make the decisions liked it, they probably had the same complaints we did about the story not really moving along, there being way too many self-contained episodes, and I guess the showrunners took that to heart, and they gave us, you know, a main plot almost every episode now, because we've gone episode 1, kind of self-contained, kind of moved it along, kind of. Episode 2, filler. I would argue filler. Episode 3, move the story along. 4, kind of move the story along. 5, move the story along.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember episode 2. Have I forgotten? What was episode 2?
I almost don't want to bring it up, because then you're going to go on that rant about the frog.
I mean, I guess it was the frog. Yeah, you gotta bring in that frog, which leads you to episode 3. You know, it was the frog episode. Okay, with the ice spider. Yeah. Okay. Still though, everybody keeps screwing the Mando out of like what they promise him. Like, I promise I'll take care of this kid if you slaughter this entire like battalion of people. Okay, slaughter. Sorry. Like, what? I promise I'll lead you to a Jedi if you get me, you know, to this planet. I get you to the planet. Sorry, go to the bar. Oh, God. Like, oh.
Yeah, no wonder Mando has trust issues. Holy fucking shit.
Oh, my God. He's just betrayed constantly, even by his friends. Oh, well.
Overall, I really liked the episode. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. It was a good episode.
You have anything more to say about it?
No. It was fun. It was a good episode. I mean, I like the setting. It was again mostly action, but we got a lot of answers, which is pretty neat.
And you know, probably next episode we're probably gonna get a fucking another filler episode, which yeah.
Well, not many episodes left, right? 6, 7, 8, 3 episodes left, so they gotta at least get back into Gideon, right?
I think we might get Gideon for the last 2. I think next episode will be more of a chill, laid-back episode where Mando just takes it easy.
if you're
So
gonna have a chilled episode, next episode would be the one, right?
next episode will be definitely the one. Honestly, the one thing that surprised me about this episode is that I didn't expect to see Ahsoka literally the first 2 minutes, which is where we got her. I expected
Right.
maybe like we'd see a glimpse of her at the very end. Maybe Mando was gonna have some kind of bullshit adventure on this planet, but the showrunners really took the main criticism of Mando season 1 to heart, which was, get to the fucking story, less self-contained shit, get to like the bottom line.
They could have slow rolled a lot of this information, right? Considering that we got his name, like you could have done an entire episode about finding out Baby Yoda's name, right?
Right.
That could have been a whole episode, and then we would have been like, oh, his name is Grogu, okay, But yeah, and you could have done an entire episode with Ahsoka, and you could have done an entire episode then revealing that Thrawn was the big bad at the end, but they packed it all into one.
Would you call her Ahsoka?
I don't know. Ahsoka?
Yeah.
Ahsoka? Okay.
It reminds me of like when my mom used to call Pokemon like Pokemon.
Pokemon. Osaka.
Anyways, so overall episode, I loved it. I can tell that you're like a little on it. You're not as excited about it as I am, but
no. I mean, because you're a bigger fanboy than I am.
Yes,
but, you're bigger. I mean, I never watched Rebels and Clones, so
you're lucky. I kind of regret watching that fucking shit. It's kitty bullshit, and then there's maybe like a couple episodes that are fucking awesome. Like I will say, as much as I dislike Rebels, 95% of it was like kitty garbage. But then you have like those episodes that are really awesome, or those scenes that are pretty good. Like if you're ever bored one time and you want to see how Darth Maul's story ends, look up Darth Maul versus Obi-Wan.
I've watched that.
You watched that? That was so fucking cool. Like, ugh.
Yeah.
There's a clip on YouTube of it. It's like 3 minutes from Disney Plus from Disney, whatever. 3 minutes, so fucking cool. Anyways, I'm sorry, we've been talking too much about this. I could tell most of the audience has already slept. Guys, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you all next time for more Mandalorian. Have a good one.